Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Creative Leadership Podcast. My name is Arne van Oostrom. This podcast is brought to you by Blue Sky Republic. And today my guest is Christina Andersson from Finland, where she's known as the Robot Lady. But that really doesn't tell you anything about who she is. She's one of the most passionate, creative learners and teachers I've ever met. She taught me about the importance of being a generalist and learning languages so you can connect the dots. And I mean, if you just go on LinkedIn and look at her resume and all the things that she's actively participating in, it is amazing. And I really can't begin to describe all the things that she represents and does. But what I can say is that she is what I would call a creative leader. And I really enjoyed talking to her. So I hope you do too. Enjoy.
I want to be remembered for my positive being and a person who wants to help and create an impact that is a positive impact that helps other people to kind of understand this world and make the best out of their own lives. I think that is
That's beautiful.
the thing I am. Yes.
Yeah. So you are a memory.
Yes, I'm a memory already.
Okay. Well, but when you say impact, a positive impact, when did you start getting that feeling of that you want? Because when in life do you start thinking, I want to make a positive impact? When do you, are you aware of that moment where you go like, yeah, that's what I want to make a positive impact on this?
Yeah. Well, I think it started sometimes 1988. I was a teacher in vocational education, and I had a group of ladies. There were some, I think, 14, 15 ladies, and they had changed their jobs for some reason. Somebody had allergies and they couldn't work in the groceries anymore or something like this. And this was actually about office work. I was very, very young then, but I was a teacher anyway. I was a student of education, and I was a student of media and communications. I wanted to become a journalist, but I got this job as a teacher. Yes, and so we had a fantastic course with these women, and it was so great that I realized that yes, this is what I want to do. I want to create joy of learning for people who I meet and to people who I have the honor to teach. And so I started to study education, and I got more work as a teacher then. And then finally I put up my own company in 1990 to consult and to spread this joy of learning. So that I think is what I'm still doing. People know me that I talk about robots and quantum technologies and all this AI. But anyway, I couldn't code, AI myself. And I couldn't build a robot. But I know I want to find out what can we do with those technologies? What can those technologies do to us? And I think that we need to understand those technologies in order to understand what do we need to learn.
So before we move there, because you're jumping to now.
Sorry.
I want no, because I'm still interested in when you're saying you studied media, you wanted to be, but you wanted to be a journalist.
Yes.
Because that is also all about curiosity. But so that in itself. So why did you want to be? So where did you go? So first, let's start at the beginning.
Okay.
Where were you born?
In Helsinki, Finland.
Helsinki, and where did you go? You went to primary school there.
Yes.
So did you because if you became interested in education, was school a positive experience for you?
No, actually, school was not that positive experience to me. That I found this joy of learning when I was teaching others. So school was, yeah, it was okay, but it was kind of not. I was not elated when I went to school, and I didn't find it inspirational. So my inspiration to learning started after school. When I found other people that were inspired about learning and learning things what matters the most.
And your parents?
Yeah, well, my parents. My father, he was marketing manager in Mobil Oil, so he was educated, and he was very much into management and marketing and sales, and he was very dynamic. And my mother was chief financial officer, one could say nowadays. Maybe it wasn't that fancy at those times. So that, of course, I got from my home, I got a model to have an impact and make things work in a way.
How is that? So how did they provide that model for you?
Well, they worked hard. That's one thing. So that I saw that they worked hard. I visited their workplaces. I saw that they were respected in their workplaces, and they also told me stories from that world. My mother was in car business, so in a car sales and services company, and so it was one of the biggest in Finland in those times. So it gave me a model of working hard.
Yeah. Okay. Is that something is that something you are conscious of now, or were you already at that moment thinking, that's sort of because it's interesting, right? So the things that happen during your, your early years as a child that make impact on you, that later you go like, oh yeah, right. That's what I learned then, or I became like them, or this is what I took from my parents, and maybe not always positive things. I took things from my parents like, oh, I'm just like my father now. That's not.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yes.
Yeah. It's not always, but still, being able to reflect on that is in a bit. I don't think you can do that as a child, but later in life you can like, yeah, oh right, this is what I've learned of, or that experience had that impact. What kind of? Is that? So these are, seeing your parents, work hard and seeing they're respected, and kind of having that model that you like, okay, that's what work looks like. And while I'm saying this, I'm thinking, what will my kids think of me? Because I'm doing this vague thing, design. They can't ever explain what I'm doing, but I'm really curious what later they'll say. Yeah, my father, he was sitting at home with his behind his computer talking all day. I don't know what he did, but apparently that must have impact. So are there any other things that you say that had impact on me if I look back now?
Well, I think it's about always move forward, and there's always somewhere you can advance. So sometimes when there are difficult times and I find myself on a sofa and I feel tired, I can't do anything, but then something happens, some spark of inspiration comes, and I find myself doing something or learning something or browsing the internet for something. It comes some kind of spark. I think that is something that I have had all my life. And always when I feel down or I feel that I can't do anything, but then this comes. I don't know where the sparks come from, but they do come.
That's so something new. You mean some
idea or something, and it's sometimes inspiration that I couldn't put in words, but it just comes at okay, and then without me noticing it, I'm doing something new. I'm not on the sofa anymore.
You're like, oh, wait a minute.
Yes. Who took me here?
Who took me here? Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. But this can be anything. Just a new topic, something new, or something that you're like,
Yes,
an article
yes.
that you read or
Yeah,
something.
it's a thought, or I remember just an article. Oh, it was that one. It could be a word also, a word that could come that,
Hmm.
or I remember that, oh, there was this article about the new quantum methodologies. And then I find myself browsing the internet. What was it? What was it? I need to know. I need to find it.
And so, I'm just kind of see whether I can create that story from when you were a kid. You were at school. After you were in Helsinki, after primary school, where did you go? What school did you go to?
Well, I continued here, and then I went to study in the University of Helsinki. I never made my exam, the diploma, so to speak.
Hmm.
So
Oh,
I'm kind of a dropout, and
me
it's.
too.
Oh, you too. Hey, nice
Yes.
to meet you, Arne. Yeah, it's. I don't know. I don't regret it because I started as an entrepreneur. I have been really not needing that much. Sometimes I feel that I should have. Uh, and what I wanted to say about working hard, so I realized then later in my life that it is not that important to work hard. But when I'm not working hard, I feel guilty because I have this example from my my parents
Right.
that you should be pushing hard forward.
Right. This is where a little voice in your head says, "No, no, no, no. You're wasting time. You're wasting time."
Yes.
Yeah. But maybe so. I think that's really interesting, actually, what you just said, because I think if you look at your resume
Mhm.
or your LinkedIn profile, you would never guess that you'd be a dropout.
No,
That's what
that's
the last thing that you would think. You are so interested in learning and
mm-mm.
learning new things. I mean, how is it possible that you at school would drop out? Because
Yes.
you'd be like if I would guess from the resume, I would say you would excel at school and you would have all the grades that etc. So how does that match these two
I
things?
don't understand how does it match. I'm the least academic person in the world, but everybody thinks that I'm.
Yes.
Yeah, but I'm not. I'm not. But that doesn't mean that I wouldn't have a great respect for research, education, and all this development that is going on in the academic world. I have a deep and high respect also for that, and I'm also the speaker for education and research and
Hmm.
academic careers. But I'm not the one doing it.
Hmm.
I'm doing it in a different way.
Hmm. And can you describe that different way?
Well, it's a different way. I want to bring people together, and I want to create an atmosphere where it is possible and there is
Hmm.
a safe space for interaction, learning, people getting to know each other, people putting their brains together so that something great could happen again. And this is what I'm kind of doing at the moment quite a lot.
Hmm. And because I'm a school I'm a dropout. I have so it's so similar. I'm kind of so my brain goes like, well, that sounds just like me. But I think there's and it's not just me. It's not just you. I think there's a big group of people out there
Mm,
who struggles going through formal education.
mm,
And I literally just a few minutes ago, I had a conversation with someone about. So my daughter's going through school now. She's doing her exams, and that keeps reminding me of like,
mm,
yeah, that's a tough time. And also, so for instance, my wife went through school. She did these amazing schools, and
mm,
she has the diplomas, and I'm kind of jealous of it at the same time. But I'm also really aware of that school makes learning not a positive thing. It doesn't turn
mm.
learning into something that you feel positive about. So I just had the conversation, but that when I stopped going to school, and actually it was already kind of during school because I was already kind of not really paying attention, I realized that I was reading books. I mean, I remember reading a book about the snare theory, about, talk about quantum theory. I didn't understand a word of the book. But I was so interested in that kind of, I don't know, I like to know things that I can't comprehend. I'm so intrigued by that. And I realized that even though it wasn't a school book, it wasn't on the list of books I should read, it is still learning. And I remember the moment, like I thought, wait a minute, it's not, school doesn't tell me to read this. I'm interested in it. I don't know what it teaches me, but I'm really interested. This is learning. I'm learning now. School doesn't have a domination on learning. It doesn't say if it's not through school. That sounds really silly, but to me it was like an eye-opening moment. Like, just because it's not official school, it is still learning. And
Yeah, exactly.
so how did you experience that? So when you dropped out of school, what happened then? You became an entrepreneur, I think you said.
No, I studied this journalism, and then I got to this teaching job when I got, and I
Right.
found it. Yes, and that was my path. So of course I was working as a guide for a while, and many like that. But this teaching experience was the one that got me into this path where I'm still going. In Finland, they call me the robot lady, but actually my work is not about robots, it's about learning. I just want to show people what the world could be and what robots could do. And about this, I call it the foresight, the personal foresight learning. When I got, shall we talk about the robots a little bit now or later?
Well, I'm interested in the moment where you started becoming the robot lady. So,
exactly.
I want to. Yeah, when did that happen? So
we wrote a book called The Boho Business together with the adjunct professor Jari Kaivoja in 2011, and it came out 2012 here in Finland, and in English 2016, I think. But anyway, so in that book, we found out when we were doing research for the book, so we found out that there is something going on in the robotization or the robotics world, more robots all the time, and companies had big plans to robotize entire factories and all this. And so we saw that this is something that is going to be huge, and also AI. And so the book came out, and when it came out, so suddenly I brought the European Robotics Week to Finland, and suddenly I was asked to talk about robots, and I was asked to write about robots. And 2015, I got an ABB award for to be a robot master. They award somebody every year, so I was the robot master 2015 for my work. And so it was kind of that I noticed that this is something that is happening, and we need to not only to help people to learn, but also to make the impact in society so that the society could prepare for the new world where AI and robots can take over some tasks. So what should people be doing, and how should we organize our, for example, nursing, hospitals and all this healthcare? So that's what happened. And so since then, I have been meeting people from different political institutions and also EU Parliament, EU Commission. I have worked as an expert in European Economic and Social Committee several times, and here in Ministry. I'm not all at the moment also working with AI 4.0 with the Ministry of Employment and the Economy. I'm in the steering group and chair for the Green Transitions Group. So it kind of without understanding how those technologies work, just this passion to help people and society has taken me here.
But if you don't understand sort of in depth how these technologies work, how then can you kind of be so influential in this topic?
Are you saying that only engineers should? Yeah.
No, but I think it would be no. I mean, I think I understand, but I think that we thought people would have like, how
Mm.
can you advise me on something that you don't know? I mean, would that be something? Is that pushback you get, or do people actually totally accept the fact that you play a different role?
I play a different role, and my understanding and expertise is there that what these robots or quantum technologies can do. And
Hmm.
this is where I move. What they
Yes.
can do and what is the impact, and how should people, what should they be learning when robots are doing what they are doing?
Well, I remember one of the things you said when, because you were part of one of the conferences
Yeah.
that I organized, and I remember I think you said something like we have to create a friend, not an enemy.
Mm.
So and that was one of the things that kind of was very it sparked at least something within me, like, oh yeah, that's because I and it had something to do with also your position as you, because at that time I think you were just going to MIT also to learn more about quantum computing, I think, and I think you said to me, I have no clue about the technology, I can't go, I don't, but I'm going to do the course.
Yes.
I want to know, and I thought that's so inspirational. I thought it was so amazing because, and I mentioned this to quite a few people, like as an example
Mm.
of people who I would call more generalists
Mm.
that can, and you said, you connect people, but you connect people, but you have to know the language they speak, right? So you go through this course so you understand the language that they use. You might not become, the expert in, building these machines and
Mm.
programming these robots, et cetera, et cetera. But is that true? Is that something that you're looking for, to kind of understand the languages that are out there?
Yeah, partially. And of course, for example, quantum computing has lots of language that it's impossible to understand. But
Exactly.
yes, so I just try to understand term by term. So, for example, I take some Peter Shor's algorithm and I just try to find out what it is and what it does, and then I get some kind of picture for myself so that I can participate in the conversation. But
Right.
I'm not trying to compete with those academics and great researchers who are building quantum computers, but I want to help them to get the message out and also to find opportunities for markets and opportunities for companies or startups, but not only that, also to help societies to prepare for the new quantum future.
Hmm. And just going back a little bit to that, don't build a friend and not an enemy. Are you afraid that we are building an enemy?
That's a very interesting question, because Google just announced that they are now somehow the general artificial intelligence is coming up, so that it's the human-like artificial intelligence. And well, we don't know, but this is something that as long as we people program those programs and artificial intelligences, we should program it to become friendly. But the world is not very friendly. So
Exactly.
how can we make sure that these programs and computers are friendly and they are used in a friendly way? But now we now can see that people are not using every time computers in a friendly way.
Hmm.
So this is a very, very big question. And if I just had an answer, I would give that answer and
Hmm.
help peace come to the world. But I don't have
Yeah.
the question. I don't have the answer.
Oh, too
I
bad.
don't even have the good question to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
too bad.
Yeah. Well, it is something I'm I think people are worried about many things at the
Mm.
moment, and there's lots of concerns. Even even there's lots of conspiracy theories that might be nonsense, but still people are
Mm.
worried about that. And there are some what we would probably would consider real threats. There's so much
Yes.
going on, and and no one has an answer. I think it's sort of the difficulty here is that it's an arms race. So we there's not even a question about should we actually do,
Yeah,
do
exactly.
it. Nobody asks us, like, do you want quantum computers? Do you want artificial intelligence? Do you want it to be human-like? Do we actually need that?
Hmm, hmm.
Is that really going to? But at the same time, I also remember you saying, it should liberate us. Technology, robots, artificial intelligence, that should liberate us. And you gave a lot of examples of how it's also a very positive force.
Yes.
Um, can you talk a little bit about that? How can technology be positive, or what do you see as a positive?
Yes. Well, for example, if we talk about quantum technologies or quantum computing, I am sure that we don't know a blip about this universe yet, because there is so much underneath and so much above and so much on the surface of the earth and the seas that we don't know about yet. And I am sure that when we get these quantum sensors and quantum computing, and we can find more data from deep seas and forests and tundras and space and everything, and we can put the quantum computer to simulate, to create a digital twin of this earth and this universe, we can find new solutions.
Ah.
This is what I so believe in. And we can make really an impact that the climate change doesn't destroy us, but it turns into a positive helix in a way, so that we can save the world and we can create a better world for everyone. So that I really believe is a great opportunity and a possibility to create a better future.
So it almost sounds like science fiction in the sense that we create a digital version of the planet,
Yes.
where then in the end we go like, are we in the real? Or are we in the digital world?
Mhm.
Did we blow up the real one?
Yeah, yeah, we start to live in a matrix, but some
Yeah,
people say that we are already in the matrix. So
yeah,
who knows?
yeah. Well, yeah, which would be really interesting to find out if we are, because we're now. I don't know if you have any specific kind of opinions about but it's such a popular thing to talk about right now. It's the metaverse. Um,
Mhm.
where because it is kind of what you're describing is sort of that blending between the virtual reality and the real world, if there's such a thing as a real world. So that can be interesting.
Mhm.
Like, huh? But what is your is that because you've been working in this field for such a long time, is that something for you? Is it interesting, that conversation? Do you have an opinion about that, or what are your thoughts about
Yeah.
this?
Mm. Yeah, it is very interesting, and of course I'm following. But then again, even though I'm such a robot lady and a technology enthusiast, so I'm trying to use less technology. And I have a newborn granddaughter also now. She's 1 year old. She's
Ah.
beautiful. And I'm thinking a lot about her future. How is it going to be for her in 20
Mm-hmm.
years? How is the world going to look like? And at the moment, I really don't want her to have a tablet to watch, or she's very interested, for example, in my phone, but I don't want her to look into my phone and start swiping and all this. I want to keep her, to have a safe distance of technology. And I think it has to do with our humanity, that we need to be in contact with each other. This is of course good that we can be connected via Zoom and so on, but so that we live in this real world also. And
Mm-hmm.
it's not only about our humanity, it's also about the environment. At the moment, digitalization takes more energy, uses more energy than the entire aviation business.
Mm-hmm.
And it increases 9% every year. So we really need greener technology. And it
Mm-hmm.
means that every time we make a choice, shall I browse, shall I use cryptocurrencies, or
Mm-hmm.
shall I use this computing power. So if we can decrease that too, so it will be a part of this planet positive.
Yeah. But in a way, I always I've always seen you as sort of the person that that was sort of also your how to say that, your vision, your idea, your position of, there's technology out there, but we need to kind of focus on human needs, human skills. It's also so I think you kind of alluded to that a minute ago, where you said, I want to know what it's for. So what are we using it for? And you can't leave technology to the tech people only. We need people from, we need creative people. We need kind of the people who think about empathy and the human skills, et cetera, et cetera. So can you talk a little bit about that? Because I to me, that sort of has always been your kind of, at least in my mind, that's where I positioned you as sort of the voice of, hey, it can't always be left to the tech people. That conversation, we need people in the conversation that actually are, talk about empathy and human values.
Exactly, because we people and we humans live on this planet, so we need to get along with each other. No wars, no conflicts between people and so on. We need to have a peaceful and clean planet. And technology can help us with that, but we need to use that technology in a nature smart way. And that's why I'm talking about nature smart technology, so that you must develop nature smart technologies and use them in a nature smart way. And in that way, we can create technologies that can help us to save this planet also, meanwhile they do what they must do.
So the nature smart technology.
Yes.
And so is that how do we create nature smart technology? How do we do that?
Well, for example, that it uses less computing power, so that uses less energy, simply. So that's, yeah.
But nature smart, so yeah, I totally agree. I think a lot of people will agree. I think most people will agree.
Yes.
But at the same time, there's so many brilliant people, so many smart people, successful, smart people who are doing exactly the opposite. So, so that's one of the things. Like, why? Because it's about its behavior. It is sort of. But even the people who are so successful, why are they not doing this? I mean, it's like that's such a big question. I think I don't know.
Arne, but I must tell you, I was so inspired. I was 2 days in Stockholm for Amazon Web Summit, or Amazon Web Services Summit, and I met people who told me, how could this be possible? How could they optimize their processes in a way that they become more nature smart, how they can use less energy, how they can use less computing power. And there are so many possibilities. And I was so inspired. I wanted to stay there with those people because it was so inspiring, and just to hear about that it is possible. And if there's will, there is a way. And there must be a will. Yes.
Yeah, there's a way. I'm pretty sure there must be a way. I think the pandemic showed that we can do radical things.
Exactly.
All of a sudden, shut things down. Nobody can ever use the excuse that it's not possible. We can actually do it. But still, I work with a lot of companies that I meet great people, smart people, beautiful people who want to change things. But I've been, like yourself, for many, many years. And I don't really see them moving that fast. They're moving slowly, sure. But at the same time, other things are happening, like data centers, like cryptocurrencies, like, like Netflix, like, that uses all this energy. And so is there a, there might not, if you have the answer, it'd be great. But what scenario could there be that without a big disaster happening, because it tends to be like we need to have like a pandemic or a huge disaster before we actually start making these radical decisions. Mm-hmm. And that'd be such a shame, because I think we're moving in such a direction. But is the right? So, Mike, I don't know if that's a question, but it's more a concern I have. But I feel that maybe the rise of certain, what I would call generalists, so not the specialists, because I think specialists look at just one element in a system, and they're really good at that one element. They work on that one, but they have no idea about the impact they have in the wider system. So they'll go like, I have a thing, it works really well, I can build a business. But the fact that destroys something somewhere else, they don't know. They didn't mean to. There wasn't the intention. But then they become part of a system that needs kind of continuous growth, because a business is only healthy when it grows forever, and et cetera, et cetera. But I feel that there's also sort of a wave where we talk about new economy, like Kate Raworth's donut economy, sort of talking about more sustainability. Companies are becoming aware that actually, if you are a sustainable company, people like that. It's a positive influence on the brand. So, in your sense, what it would be? Do you see there's a positive wave? Do you see a sort of new people emerging? Because you're talking about Amazon saying, well, we're really excited about new possibilities. Is there a positive scenario?
Yes, I really believe there is, and there are new people coming into this positive planet movement all the time. And for example, here in Finland, we have a group called the Activist Grandmas. And that I think it's so positive. I just love it. I haven't joined yet. I hope that I can join. And what I think we need more people like you, and there are many people like you who work making impact, and by brain cell by brain cell. So with small steps we can conquer these brain cells to think in a new way. And when you think in a new way, you can then talk in a new way, and then you can act in a new way. And this is our hope.
This is the teacher in you.
Yes.
Right? Yeah, this is the teacher. Well, is it right? Because it's a teacher that says, at least the teacher in me, which I also discovered, like you, when I started teaching, I started seeing the change directly in someone, like you said, in the one brain. I could see, I reached a person. Instead of an entity, a business, it's like, oh no, I was teaching someone, and I saw it, and that is an impact you have, and maybe so. What I take away from what you just said is that we shouldn't underestimate those little changes.
Exactly, because actually nobody can just change overnight to become totally somebody new. It takes time, and we should appreciate that.
Mm-hmm. So what's next for you?
What's next? I'm going to groceries to find some special kind of salad for my friends who are coming to visit tomorrow, and I want to surprise them with something very special, vegetarian nice food.
And long term?
And long term, yes, I'm studying more about the sustainable development, and I really want to. I don't know how long I'm going to live and how long I'm able to work, but the time I have, I want to put myself into this sustainable development and to do whatever it takes, what I can do to find those solutions and help people to see those solutions that can make that happen.
Because you want to leave that memory. At least you're not a memory yet. You're
Not
here.
yet.
You're here. You're very present. And
Yes.
I'm not sure if you're aware of your presence all the time, but you are very present in this space, which is great. And we need people like you. So stick around.
Yes, and you too. Please don't go away.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
need you.
Yes, totally, of course. And I think that it'd be really interesting to follow up a little bit on this nature smart technology.
Yes.
I'm going to look into the activists, grandmas, and those positive movements, because I think, to your point earlier, it's these kind of movements that we see around the world that actually are going to make the difference. It's not the bigger, there's not going to be a huge global movement that's going to change everything overnight, but it's really interesting to kind of keep your eyes open for all the little things that are happening. And if you do that, to your point, you're meeting people, a lot of people like yourself, or the people at Amazon, or those grandmas that are actually changing. And I think that's where we should get that courage from. Because
Yeah,
I think
exactly.
I think why companies aren't changing, or find it difficult to change, or find difficult to find a path towards this positive change quickly, is because they don't have the courage. And I think because it takes courage, it might, you might go bankrupt or something or whatever. But I don't know, there's fear in these companies and organizations. But I think if you look at all those positive movements, and I like that positive worlds movement, I think we can find the courage to do so, like you do. So.
Yeah, and like you do, and like many people do, and there is our hope that it will get better, even though it doesn't look like it at the moment here in Europe. But it's that too shall pass.
And if you would give advice to people listening, maybe younger people who are just about to start a career, or maybe they just left school, or they're still there, and they because I do feel that there's there's a generation that wants to, because they're aware of what's going on, they want to make a positive impact too. So what would you tell them?
Yeah, I would tell them that there are so many things that are emerging, that are new things, and it's possible that there is no degree for those things that you want to learn. And it's not a catastrophe if you don't find your place in a university. The world is turning more towards informal and non-formal learning, so that if you are interested in a topic and you cannot find your place in some institution, so try to Google, try to go to YouTube and find these non-formal courses, find ways to create for yourself a bunch of micro-credentials from small studies there and other studies there, and make your own talent portfolio. And then maybe one day you can find your way to a university or pursue an academic career. So it's, world is, this learning world is in that way is so great that it's never too late to start studying again somewhere in a university or just pursue another career. So that's so possible nowadays.
Yeah, good advice. That's exactly. I think that's such a positive thing that's happening at the moment.
Yes.
You can learn all the time, and learning is fun. It's inspirational, and so
it's free.
And it's free. Yeah, no, I know. You can follow MIT courses online. I'm following a lot of these courses, which is like amazing. These amazing lectures that are just there. They're free. They're online. You can just go to school whenever you want, and it doesn't feel like school. It feels like, growing and being amazed and being curious about things. And so that's a really good advice. I hope we'll embrace these new possibilities that also are brought to us by technology. So.
Yes.
That's a positive influence of what technology has, and also connecting people like now so easily, having conversations so easily through time zones and language barriers, and it's all kind of really possible to connect in a different way, connect knowledge in a different way, connect people in a different way. And I think you're one of the great examples of those people who are doing that. And so thank you for that inspiration.
Thank you, Arne. This was really a pleasure.